Regardless of what the title of this video says, I'm not just speaking to a Christian spouse right now. I'm actually talking to anybody and everybody who is a believer, who knows and loves somebody who is either not a believer anymore, or they're expressing doubts. They have left the church. They're on a kind of journey that has given you real concern. You're not exactly sure what's going on. You are the believer connected to at least a potential non-believer. If you're that person, right off the bat, I want to ask for a favor, okay? And that favor is this. Do not look at the name of this channel with the word atheist in it and just give up and click stop. If you Googled my name and you found out who I am and you don't trust me, totally fair. If you are nervous about what I'm going to say, I'm going to make a guarantee right off the bat, all right? A guarantee that I am not here to talk you out of your faith. I promise you, I'm not going to attack you. I'm not mocking Christians at this moment. Right now, I have zero interest in changing your mind on what I am sure is a deeply held personal belief in God. It is a belief that means the whole world to you. In fact, I'll go a step beyond that. I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist activist, but I will fight alongside you for your constitutional right to believe what you believe. You and your personal faith are protected by law in this country. And just as I get to hold to my values and perspectives, you have the right to do the same. There are important discussions to be had about religious claims and theology and all that stuff, but they can wait, right? Those are for another day. Today, I want to talk about the person in your life that has been keeping you up at night. I'm what they would call an ex-evangelical. I was a Bible-believing Christian for 3 decades. As my ex-Christian buddy, Dan Barker, likes to say, he said, if I wasn't a true Christian, nobody was. And that's true for me. I'm not trying to sound more convincing. I'm not selling credibility. I'm just letting you know that I've been there. My own journey caused my loved ones a whole lot of concern. And there were calls and emails and texts and arguments and tears and raised voices and prayers for my soul. And there were people I care about who cared about me. They felt tremendous pain at the idea that they might not see me in heaven or have a truly good and fulfilled life here on earth. Maybe you're that person. You're a parent, brother, sister, spouse, friend, pastor, whatever. And you have been witnessing what looks like to you a train wreck. Somebody that you love is becoming the prodigal. They're saying alarming things. They're doing alarming things. These weird questions they are asking and the arguments they are making and the books that they have been reading and maybe even recommending and all the videos that they have been sharing. And in a whole lot of ways, you are looking at this person going, what has happened? Like, what has happened to the person that I once knew? In my own life, my mother and father, they were the most devout Christians that I have ever seen. I mean, to date, my father passed away recently, but I've never seen anyone as devout. So you can imagine, as they raised me up in the faith, they felt like they had done a good job, you know? I was a good Christian man who had grown up with Sunday church and Christian school and Bible study, and my siblings were Christian, my friends were Christian, my music was Christian. For many years, my career was Christian. I was a broadcaster in contemporary Christian radio, playing Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith on the radio. I remember there was a day when my dad's brother was in town from Minnesota, and my dad brought him up to the radio station, and there I was playing Jesus music. I was doing God's good work, and Dad was so proud. I just thought he was going to bust a button right off of his shirt. He was smiling from ear to ear. He and my mother had trained up their child in the way that he should go, and it had all paid off. And then 20 years later, my father was desperately scrambling to keep me from going to hell. My personal life journey had taken me to places my parents never intended. Scary places, dangerous places. They felt like I had failed them, that they had failed me. They just didn't understand. They didn't know who I was. They didn't like who I was becoming. My father did not know how to talk to me. And if we did talk, there was always that elephant in the room. Seth is an atheist. He's not going to go to heaven. He's going to go to hell. We have to fix this, whatever it takes. And that grief and concern came from a very sincere place. They wanted to keep somebody that they love from harm. If you're a Christian and you're watching someone else and you feel that they have left the straight and narrow, I understand your concern and worry and grief. I know it is sincere and it's very real. I would never mock anybody for empathy. We need more empathy in this crazy world, right? We live in a culture of cruelty, so compassion and concern and empathy, they are so refreshing, so necessary. And I think that caring about other people is something that unites us all as human beings, regardless of our theology or culture, color, geographic location, whatever. My parents were grieving over me because I had become somebody that they did not intend. I grieved over them because I saw their inability to process what I was going through, and it made us strangers. Especially on their part, I think they felt that accepting me the way I was might be a de facto acceptance of my atheism. So when we did get together, we sat at the dinner table or got together on the holiday. Everything was kind of on mute. My family was there, we talked, but it was weird. And that made me weary because I always felt like I was kind of the broken branch on the family tree. I felt like an other, not fully accepted for who I was. It made everything really, really hard. I heard somebody say that all families are dysfunctional. And if you're like me, you're probably smiling because I think we can all think of examples, right? Families are dysfunctional. I mean, at some point, family dynamics, family drama, family trauma. But I can pretty much guarantee you this. The person that you know who is no longer a believer in God has no desire to cause trauma to you or the rest of the family or anybody else. They didn't wake up one day and say, today I think I'll walk away from God and I'm going to traumatize the people I care about. Personal journeys do not work in this way. Your loved one did not choose to struggle the way they are struggling. They didn't choose to have doubts. They didn't choose real questions about claims being made. They certainly didn't choose to hurt you or to scare you or to disappoint you, right? That wasn't the point to begin with. What I'm trying to say is this. Your spouse or child or sibling, parent, friend, whoever, they are not doing what they're doing because they're trying to hurt anybody else. It's not about anybody else. They are doing what they are doing because they're desperately trying to be true to themselves. The Bible itself, if we're going to be honest, is pretty hard on doubters. Who's the one disciple our parents told us not to be like? It was always doubting Thomas, right? But I personally think that any loving God would never be bothered by doubts. A loving God would not punish doubts, and that God would probably tell you to feel the same way. You and I use doubt in our lives every single day. We do, every day, and it's a good thing. We teach children to doubt the stranger who opens the car door and says, "Get in, I'll take you home." That doubt keeps them safe. It might even save their life. If a salesperson calls up and says, "Hey, I've got a great deal," or "You've been hacked, I need all of your banking information and passwords," if you doubt that, your doubt might just keep you from getting scammed. If you think the ice is not thick enough to walk on, your doubt might keep you from falling through and drowning. Doubt in that way is a filtering system. It's part of how we keep ourselves from making bad decisions and maybe even getting hurt or killed. And for that reason, I want to reframe doubt. Not as a weakness, not as sin, but as a way of helping navigate the world. That's not anything that a good God would be angry about or afraid about. You shouldn't be angry about it or afraid about it. I mean, this person, whoever they are, their doubts are part of a journey. They are on a journey, just like you are on a journey. We're all on a journey. Life is a journey. And it's got straightaways and twists and turns and detours and roadblocks and rest stops along the way, right? It's messy sometimes. But I've become convinced that it is absolutely critical to, as best I can, take my journey authentically. And you should take your journey authentically. Your friend or family member, the person you love and have so many concerns about, they should be encouraged and protected as they take their journey authentically. Would you allow anybody else to tell you what to think, what career to take, who to have as a friend, who to marry, how to vote, where to go to church, or what religion or denomination to belong to, which God to believe in? Of course you would not allow that, because your journey belongs to you. That's a sacred space. You are not going to be an echo of their voice. You've got a voice of your own, and you're going to speak in that voice as best you can. You're not going to be guilt-tripped or emotionally blackmailed or coerced by anybody else. You're going to go where you go and do what you do and be who you are, because it's your life, not theirs. As messy as it is, it's your life. You're listening, receiving counsel when you can, trying to lean on the wisdom of others, but your life belongs to you. And you are attempting to live authentically, regardless of the consequences. This is exactly what is happening to the person you love. They didn't wake up and say they had all the answers. I'm guessing they mostly have questions and challenges. They didn't wake up and start hating God. They didn't go crazy. They don't just want to sin. I've heard a lot of that. It's not as shallow as just attention-seeking behavior. I mean, take an honest look at the person you love. If they were a Christian last year and an atheist yesterday, what's different? Did they undergo a total personality change and now they're just no longer lovable? Or they don't love you anymore? Has their life derailed into moral anarchy and chaos? Did they sprout horns? Are they chanting mantras to the Dark Lord? Or is their person, who they are, the them of them, is that unchanged in the most important ways? If they were trustworthy a year ago, I'll bet they're trustworthy now. If they had a great sense of humor a year ago, I'll bet they've got a great sense of humor now. If they worked hard back then or loved their spouses and children and parents and friends back then, if they were creative, had a wild imagination, if they were charitable, did good things for other people, if they had amusing or fun quirks and idiosyncrasies and qualities that were unique to them, I'll bet they still have all of those attributes now in the most important human way. We're talking about the same person. And they've made really a noble commitment to be honest. They're not going to take shortcuts or lie to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. The point was never that they wanted to hurt you. They're simply trying to be true to themselves. And I'll bet they've had struggles and stress and sleepless nights. They're worried that they're going to lose you, lose the community that they love, lose their job. That kind of thing happens all the time. Somebody stops fitting in, right? They're the square peg. They make someone else uncomfortable, and there are consequences. And then beyond that, the big question, what happens after this? In my own journey, I was asking, if this is where I am, how is it going to alter the trajectory of the rest of my life? Who even am I? You see what I mean? This is not something that you choose. It's something that you face. And I think there's a lot of merit in facing it head on as best you can, honestly. If there is one constant in this crazy world, it is change. Right? Change is the only constant. Beware anybody who proudly says that no matter what happens, I will never, ever, ever, ever change. I'm the mighty oak kind of thing. This is not the flex that they think it is. Being rigid is not necessarily a good thing, because if we see better data, if we find a better model, if we know a better way, we want to change and adapt to that. But it doesn't mean we're different people. The person you love may have changed in some ways, but it's still that person. And they need you, or at the very least, just know that they're desperate not to lose you. The point was never to grieve or disappoint or embarrass or trouble you. I'd wager they wish they could just open a window into their mind so you could hop in there and feel what they feel and think what they think and sort of see it all and experience it all firsthand. And they're wondering what's going to happen. Is the love of their family and friends conditional? Are they going to be accepted and respected for who they are regardless? I'm not saying that lives are always compatible. I'm not saying it always works out, but I do find that a lot of people discover ways to live around disagreements and differences because the rest of their lives is so good. It's worth holding on to and protecting. It is possible to love someone while also respecting them and staying out of their way. You know, it's your journey to take. It's not mine. And watch those people say the same to you. Hey, go and be you. You do you on your terms. Take your road. Tell me where the journey takes you. Let's get together later and compare notes sometime. Thank you for listening to this total stranger, the guy that you might have been warned about. Some people are scared of people like me. They're scared of the A word, the atheist. I was weird about that word for a long time when I was a Christian. But on my own journey, I discovered people who were on their own journeys, and many of them so good without a God. And it's been an honor sharing my life and this world with them. So take a breath. Take the pressure off of yourself. Trust that any God who is powerful and caring enough to prove himself will do so. He will appear on the road. He will make himself unmissable and unmistakable. But if that never happens, value that the person that you care about has had the courage to carve a path in the best direction they can find. They are giving themselves the very same gift that I hope you have given to yourself, an authentic life.